Welcome to the Fulcrum Democracy Forum, a space to talk about democracy and civic engagement. I'm Ugo Balta, Executive Editor of the Fulcrum. The team is a nonprofit organization dedicated to integrating nonpartisan civic engagement into college athletics, working directly with student athletes, coaches, and administrators to strengthen democratic participation. Elise Byun is the team program coordinator and our guest. Elise, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So let's just dive into it. The team's mission is to develop teammates, inspire leaders, and empower citizens by providing resources that make voting and civic involvement accessible, joyful, and team-centered. Tell us about realizing that mission and your role as program coordinator.
Yeah, and my role as programming coordinator, it's been fun to be on the other side of the team's fellowship program. I was a part of the first cohort my senior year, so being able to create a fellowship project, year-long project, and see that through, and then now be on the other side of things and mentor fellows has been really cool to see. And I think just right now in the landscape of what our democracy is going through, I think it's really cool to see the next generation really inspired and really just take that upon their mission to also inspire their teammates, their other fellow athletes at their university, and just try to make a difference on the campus level. Because I think that's what we're really seeing here these days is just making a small difference to later impact something greater than just themselves. So being on the other side of things, mentoring these athletes, seeing them kind of pivot in their project, work through some troubleshooting, it's been really fun to just help kind of guide them in this new journey and new challenge that they took upon themselves this academic year.
Yeah, and you're not just a program coordinator, but as you've mentioned, you've gone through the program, and I certainly want to ask you about that a little bit later. Team building is one of the things that you said, and mentoring and really growing those leadership skills that they're going to be used that they already use inside the playing field, and certainly will leverage outside of the playing field. Now, one of the programs led by the team is the Engaged Athlete Fellowship, which empowers a diverse class of motivated students, student athletes, to strengthen nonpartisan civic participation on their teams, their campuses, and their broader communities. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the year-long project and the fellowship in itself is a super, I think, unique program. You have 25 to 30 student athletes from all across the country, Division One, Two, and Three, all coming together on fellowship-wide calls via Zoom, either around professional development or just honestly bonding and getting to know one another. But in terms of the fellowship project, I think it's really interesting because each fellow gets to design their own project. So in terms of my project, I was really kind of inspired around even the term civic engagement for myself. I felt like civic engagement was such a broad term, and I wanted to help Cal student athletes figure out what that kind of meant for them. So my project, I divided it up into two parts. The first part was really just inspire, and the second was mobilize. So the inspire portion, I hosted a panel event with change makers in the Berkeley community, and that was just around the different pathways to civic engagement. It was with a Cal soccer student athlete, one of our DEIBJ officers, our Cal women's basketball head coach, and two others in the community that had such a big impact within the Oakland landscape and also Berkeley in itself. And that was just to inspire Cal student athletes about how to get involved and what that could look like for them. And then my second portion around the mobilizing, I partnered with two local Oakland elementary schools and ran what we called Adopt a Week. So each team adopted a week of recess support at these local elementary schools. And that was just to really have consistent presence of Berkeley student athletes within our Oakland community. I found that as student athletes, we need to show up for the community that shows up for us. Every single weekend, fans come out, support us at our games, cheer us on. And I think as student athletes, we should serve the community that serves us. And yes, all we did was literally recess support, played with little kids on the playground, but being able to just be there and be those great role models for these young students in the community was something that I had a lot of fun participating in, and I know a lot of my peers did as well. So it was just for me, I think the year-long fellowship and the project in itself is super cool because you get to see what athletes are really interested in, whether that's voter engagement, um, mental health, things like that. It's been fun to see my project and what that looked like and how I had to pivot all this stuff now being on the other end, seeing all the different things these fellows are inspired by and want to make change around. So it's been really inspiring on both ends.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for the detail of your answer. I think you're right. Just showing up sometimes is good enough, and especially with younger people that see athletes like yourself as inspirational, but also aspirational, and perhaps sparks their own dreams and ambitions of being in your place. So I think that's really important. Showing up and is absolutely oftentimes more than good enough. Now, the Engaged Athlete Fellowship culminates with the Engaged Athlete Forum in Washington, D.C., featuring speakers and panels. What can attendees expect from this year's?
Great question. I think this forum is definitely one of our most fun events of the year, especially being in DC, having all fellows together, staff together. It's just an awesome event. But specifically at this year's forum, I think you can expect a lot of panelists, professionals within the field connecting civic engagement to their career work, whether that looks like you're directly in sports or you're in tech, but still connect that to civic engagement. You can also expect to hear from our fellows. So, a couple of them will share what their year-long project looked like. We're hoping to have an all-athlete fellow panel, giving them questions, hearing from their story and their experience in the program. But I think in itself, you can just feel really inspired by those around you. These athletes, these fellows are just doing such amazing work. And being in that room, being able to hear from them, hear from other professionals, I leave the forum every single year just feeling so inspired and so motivated to go out there, make change. And I think that's what's great about the forum. You bring such like-minded people in one place, and it's really fun afterwards. We have a little networking session, refreshments, food, drinks, things like that. So it's really fun to also just connect on a personal level of like checking in. I am able to see some old fellows that were from my first cohort, those based in DC, come out and come to the forum, come support, come cheer on the future cohort. So it's been fun. And yeah, if anyone's in town, totally recommend you come join us at the forum this year.
I'll be one of them, joining you at the
Amazing.
forum this year. I'm really excited to see all of the things that you've mentioned in action. So I'll be joining the group in June, in a couple of weeks. You've been very generous with your time. I've got one more question. You've already mentioned Berkeley, Oakland. You are a USC Berkeley graduate and a former member of the varsity women's gymnastics program. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, and who and what inspires your work with the team.
Yeah, great question. I'm originally from the Bay Area. I grew up in Los Altos, California, and all through my recruiting journey, I knew I wanted to stay on the West Coast, stay in California ideally. And for me, Berkeley was that perfect place. It pushed me academically and it also pushed me athletically. And I think there's something really special about the Berkeley community. Your teammates, your other peers in your classroom, everyone is pushing themselves to be the next greatest thing, the next greatest person. In the classroom, you might be sitting next to a startup founder. In the gym, you're training again with All Americans, national champions, and that really inspired me in kind of every single aspect of my life at Berkeley. I kind of caught the injury bug my first 2 years. I tore my Achilles both my freshman and sophomore year, and that really made me analyze what gymnastics looked like for me. I had to figure out who I was outside the gym. And in that process, I was really deeply tied to how I was feeling mentally and my mental health, and got really involved within the student athlete experience through that. I later became president of CalSAC, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and then later became the chair of the Pac-12 Student Athlete Leadership Team. And then later, my senior year, was able to represent the Pac-12 to Division I National SAC. And in those roles, I really found um, a deep tie to my own voice and what that looked like. I realized I really loved the advocacy portion of a lot of what I was doing. And that helped me find my ties to the team also around civic engagement. And in DC, the team sets you up with such amazing opportunities. We were able to meet with Senator Cory Booker my first year within the program, and we discussed all things from NIL legislation to just what it means to be civically engaged. And Cory Booker being a Stanford football alum, it was also cool to see student athletes go and do such incredible things and be great servants of democracy. And I think my time at Berkeley and just being around the community and the people I grew around has just really helped me grow in so many different ways. And I feel very similarly to my experience within the team. The fellows, the staff, everyone is just so they just so deeply care about those around them, but also the community they serve. And it's just been such an awesome experience to be a part of it and be on the other side of it and still continue my journey within the program. And yeah, I highly encourage anyone to apply. Our fellowship application is now open. We're looking for our fourth cohort. So if this sounds at all interesting to you, or if you have teammates who would be a perfect fit, I 100% recommend applying, reaching out to myself or anyone on staff if you have questions. But this program is truly, I've gained so many new friends, connection, grew my network, and I am just so deeply thankful for the team and its community.
Elise Byun, leader inside and outside the court, thank you so much for your time and for your insights.
Thank you so much for giving me the space to speak about this. It was great.
And thank you for joining us on this edition of the Fulcrum Democracy Forum. I invite you to visit us at thefulcrum.us, where you will find information about the team and how to apply for next year's cohort. I'm Hugo Balta. Hasta la próxima.